Hello, are you ready for chapter 16 of our book, The Enchanted Wood, part of the Magic Faraway Tree series by Enid Blyton? Here goes. Chapter 16, What Happened in the Rocking Land. The Rocking Land was really most annoying. No sooner did the children stand up very carefully and try to walk a few steps than the earth beneath them either fell away or tipped up or slanted sideways in a very alarming manner. Then down they all went, rolling over and over. The saucepan man made a tremendous noise and almost cried when he saw how battered his saucepans and kettles were getting. "Moonface!" yelled Joe. "How can we get out of here? Do you know?" "We can only get out by going down the ladder that leads to the faraway tree," shouted back Moonface, who was busy rolling down a little hill that had suddenly appeared. "Look for it all the time, or we'll never get away from here. As soon as the rocking land leaves this place, where the faraway tree is, we've no way of escape." That gave the others a shock. The thought of living in a land of bumps and jolts was not at all pleasant. They all began to look out for the hole through which they had come into the rocking land. Soon the earth began to do something very different. It heaved up and down very quickly, as if it were breathing fast. When it heaved up, it threw the children and the others into the air. When it breathed downwards, they rolled into holes and stayed there. It was all dreadfully uncomfortable. "Oh, I'm getting awfully bruised," shouted Beth. "For goodness sake, let's find a place on this land where it's not quite so fidgety. I think we must be in the worst bit." As soon as the earth stopped heaving about, they all ran hard to where a wood grew, and there, just inside the wood, they saw a shop. It was such a surprising thing to see in the rocking land that they all stopped and stared. "What does it sell?" asked Joe. "You don't feel well?" said the saucepan man, quite deaf for a time. "I don't either. I feel as if I've been on a ship in a very rough sea." "I said, what does the shop sell?" said Joe. "No, I didn't hear a bell," said the saucepan man, looking round him as if he expected to see an enormous bell somewhere. Joe gave up. He looked hard at the shop. It was just a wide stall with a tiny house behind it. No one seemed to be there, but smoke rose from the chimney, so someone must live there, thought Joe. "Come on," he said to the others. "Take hold of each other's hand so that we can keep together. We'll go and see this funny shop and see if we can get help." They walked up to it. The stall was piled high with cushions of all colours, each one with a rope tied to it. "How funny," said Beth in astonishment. "Cushions with ropes? Now, who in the world would want to buy a cushion here?" "Well, I would for one," said Moonface at once. "My goodness, if I had a fine fat cushion tied on the front of me and another tied at the back, I wouldn't mind being bumped around nearly so much." "Oh, of course, that's what the cushions and ropes are for," said Beth joyfully. "Let's buy some, then we shan't get bruised any more." Just then, a sharp-nosed little woman with cushions tied all round her came out of the tiny house and looked at the children. She even had a small cushion tied on her head, and she did look very funny. Franny giggled. She was a dreadful giggler. The woman looked cross and glared at Franny. "Do you want to buy some of me cushions?" she asked. "Oh, yes, please," said Moonface, and he reached into his pocket. "How much are they?" "5 silver pieces of money each," said the woman, her little green eyes shining as she saw Moonface putting his hand in his pocket for the money. Moonface looked at her in dismay. "That's much too high a price," he said. "I've only got 1 silver piece. Have you got any money, saucepan man?" "No, I don't sell honey," said the saucepan man. "Money! Money! Money!" shouted Moonface, showing the saucepan man his 1 silver piece. "Oh, money!" he said, taking out a round leather bag from one of his kettles. "Yes, I've plenty of it here." But the round leather bag was empty. The saucepan man stared at it in dismay. "All me money must have fallen out when I rolled about," he said. "There's nothing left." The children had no money at all. The sharp-nosed little woman shook her head when Moonface begged her to lend them some cushions in return for his silver piece. "I don't lend anything," she said, and went back into her house, banging the door loudly. "Oh, that's too bad," said Moonface, taking hold of Joe's hand and walking off gloomily. "Mean old thing. Oh, look, there are some more people, all wearing cushions." Sure enough, they meant plenty of odd-looking folk, well padded with cushions of all colours, sizes, and shapes, walking carefully about the paths. One man wore a big quilt all around him, which Beth thought was a fine idea. "The rocking land is quite peaceful for a change," she said to Franny, but she spoke too soon, for even as she said these words, the earth began to heave up, first one way and then another. Over went the children and everybody else, and rolled here and there and up and down as the land jumped up first in one place and then in another. "Oh!" groaned the children. "Oh, wish I had a few cushions," cried Moonface, who had rolled onto his nose and bent it sideways. Crash, clang, bang went the saucepan man, rolling on his kettles and pans very noisily. "Oh, look!" shrieked Beth suddenly in delight, and pointed back towards a little wood where the shop was. The earth there had risen steeply upwards, and all the cushions were rolling down towards the children. "Grab them!" shouted Joe, so they all caught the cushions and began to tie them firmly around them. My goodness, it did make a difference when they rolled about. "Well, it serves that mean old woman right," said the saucepan man as he tried his hardest to put cushions around himself and his saucepans. Suddenly, one of the people in the rocking land gave a frightened shout and clutched hold of a nearby tree. A strange wind blew with a low, musical sound. "Oh, what's going to happen now?" cried Moonface. "Get hold of a tree! Get hold of a tree!" shouted the people round about. "When the wind makes that noise, it means the whole of the land is going to tip up sideways and try and roll everyone off. Your only hope is to catch hold of a tree." Sure enough, the land was tipping up, not in bits and pieces as it had done before, but the whole of it. It was extraordinary. Moonface was frightened. He tried to get to a tree, and he shouted to the others, "Catch hold of a tree! Hurry up!" But not one of them could, for they had left the wood far behind them and were in a field. Slowly and surely the land tipped sideways, and the children and Moonface and the old saucepan man began to roll downhill on their cushions. Oh, they were not bruised, but they were very much frightened. What would happen to them if they rolled right off the land? Down they went, and down, nearer and nearer to the edge of rocking land, and then quite suddenly Moonface disappeared. One moment he was there, the next he was gone. It was most peculiar. But in half a minute they heard his voice, lifted up in the greatest excitement. I say, everyone! I've fallen down the hole to the ladder that leads to the Faraway tree, quite by accident. I'll throw my cushions up through the hole so you'll know where it is. Roll to it if you can, but hurry!" Then the children and the saucepan man saw 2 cushions appear, and they knew where the hole was. They did their best to roll to it, and one by one they got nearer and nearer. Beth rolled right down it, plop, and caught hold of the ladder as she fell. Joe rolled down next, missed the ladder, and landed with a bump on the topmost branch of the faraway tree. The saucepan man rolled to it next, but he got stuck in the hole, for he was now so fat with cushions, as well as kettles and saucepans, that he could hardly get through. "Oh, quick, quick, quick!" shouted Joe. "Get in, saucepan man, get in! Poor Franny will roll right past the hole if you don't hurry up." The saucepan man saw Franny was rolling past. Poor Franny! Once she rolled past the hole, she couldn't possibly roll back again, for it would be all uphill. Quick as lightning, the saucepan man reached out his hand and caught hold of one of the ropes that tied Franny's cushions to her back. She stopped with a jerk. One of the saucepan man's kettles gave way, and he fell through the hole to the ladder, making a tremendous noise. Moonface caught him, and then the saucepan man gave a tug at Franny's rope, and she came down the hole too, landing softly on the top branch of the faraway tree, for she was well padded with all her cushions. "Oh, well, thank goodness you found the hole, Moonface," said everyone, still looking rather scared. "What an adventure!" And we'll find out what adventures happen next tomorrow. See you then.